And we tell them. Maybe they're teenagers. Yeah.
Or you could cushion it play on that thing at all.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they want to on it.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's
That's the thing. Yeah.
How you doing, man?
yes.
How far out? You're right off the top. Every time. And you're like 4 minutes in. And you're right there. Like, y'all understand what off the top means? Oh, now we're ready? Okay.
Time to be here for us to update a nation that really wants to find out what's going on and the response that's taken place here in the center part of Texas. This is something where we need to begin now, and we need to continue to invoke God Almighty. The one thing I hear the most from people across the...
I'm Jason Wheeler. We're breaking into your programming right now to give you an update on that catastrophic flooding in central Texas in Kerr County near San Antonio. Right now, the governor is giving us an update, and we want to take a listen into that from Kerr County.
To God right now, because their family member has been located. Those who remain prayerful that their family member too will be found. This is a time when we as a state, we as a community, need God more than ever. Little kids off at camp, joyfully excited about the upcoming day to celebrate the 4th of July. Campers alongside the river, doing the same thing and enjoying one of the beautiful spots in the state of Texas. Asleep probably just a few hours from waking up. People that I know of who were not in harm's way, but went into harm's way to try to save the lives of others, but who lost their life. So many people have been swept up into an extraordinary catastrophe. It needs God, but it also needs a robust response by the state and local governments and by people who live in these communities impacted by this. We had a meeting with officials at the state and local level, and there is extraordinary collaboration to make sure that we are going to address everybody's concern as quickly as we possibly can. At the state level, we have Texas Task Force 1 and Texas Task Force 2. There are some of the best experts in the world at search and rescue missions. And know this, we remain in a search and rescue posture right now. So it's been going on over the course of the day, and you're going to hear stories here momentarily about exactly what has been achieved through those search and rescue missions. They will continue in the darkness of night. They will be taking place when the sun rises in the morning. They will be nonstop, seeking to find everybody who is unaccounted for. The Texas National Guard has been a part of that process, and you'll hear the general in charge of that speak here soon, as well as the Texas Department of Public Safety and their operations. We also have game wardens from the Texas Parks and Wildlife that are involved in this process, as well as the Texas Division of Emergency Management. I have assured all of the local officials here that whatever they need, whether it be personnel, whether it be equipment, whether it be search and rescue operations, whether it be supporting them in their endeavors, whatever these communities need, the state of Texas is going to step up and provide it. But we know that what is needed and wanted the most is all the families out there who are waiting for information about their child or their loved one. And as you will hear, we are working on strategies to deliver on that information that families are craving. We want to make sure we get information to families as quickly as we possibly can. But most importantly, we will stop at nothing to ensure that every asset and person and plane and whatever is needed is going to be involved in the process of rescuing every last person and ensure everybody involved in this is going to be fully accounted for. As a part of this, I'm signing a disaster declaration. Definitely one that includes this area, but includes more than this. And this is the proclamation here that I'll sign, but I want to tell you in here, I'm declaring a state-based disaster for those in the following counties: Bandera, Coke, Comal, Concho, Gillespie, Kendall, Kerr, Kimball, Llano, Mason, McCullough, Menard, Reeves, San Saba, and Tom Green counties. This will ensure all the counties that are identified in this, and there may be more that need to be added later, are going to have access to every tool, strategy, personnel that the state of Texas can provide to them, which will be limitless. We'll put in everything we have in the entire state. Someone who's been involved in this and shares the commitment is the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
Thank you, Governor. Dalton, who's our city manager, told us earlier that he was jogging at 3 in the morning along the river, and there wasn't a drop of rain falling. And within a few hours, the Guadalupe had risen about 26 feet, and actually it rose that quickly in about 45 minutes of those 2 hours. And since that first alert went out early this morning, between 4 and 5 a.m., the city officials here, the sheriff, immediately sprung into action. And since 4 or 5 this morning, they have not stopped. We put forth 400 to 500 state employees, DPS, game wardens. I'll let the speakers talk about the specifics of everyone we had in the air, drones, helicopters, but from the first minute that this storm went from 3 in the morning, not a drop of rain, until the tragedy struck and the river rose, these people behind us, Governor, have done everything they can. And there have been a number of rescues, and they'll speak to that as well during the day. And I echo what the Governor said. As I said earlier, we will not stop until we find every body, and the rescue continues that effort. We will not stop. And it is God Almighty that we need. Not a thought and prayers message. Hey, get down on your knees and pray for these families tonight and all these children. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. There's going to be other people who speak here, but before they do speak, I want to recognize a few others who will be involved in this process. One is the state representative from this area, West Riddell. Why don't you let people know who you are? And we're also in the state Senate district of Senator Pete Flores. And we have the Texas Parks and Wildlife Game Warden, Colonel, who's here with us. Thank you all for being a part of this process. And now I want to turn things over to Sheriff Letha.
Yes, Sheriff Larry Letha, Kerr County. What I'd like to let y'all know and the public know is, like the governor said, we do have all the resources we need at this time, and we will continue to have them until we finish this mission. I want to tell y'all that we will be working around the clock 24/7 until every person is found. What I can confirm at this point, we're at about 24 fatalities. We're not going to be giving any names out at this time. We're still notifying next of kin. Also, I've been notified one fatality has been found in Kendall County. I cannot say it's related to this incident at this time, but we'll let y'all know when we find out more information. I asked the media to be real patient with us during this time. We've got a lot of things going on. Y'all see what? There's a lot of people here. We have a lot of resources. We just need more time, and we're looking really forward. We'll be working 24/7 overnight into tomorrow through the next several days in this mission. We will get you information as we get it. We will get it to you. We'll continue to have briefings. We'll continue to keep updated at this time. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Herring.
I'm Joe Herring, Jr. I'm mayor of the city of Kerrville. My job today is to tell people thank you. People from across the state have come to help. City, county, state, all working together, all working for the same goal. I want to say thank you to the dedicated men and women of the first responders. You are our heroes today. We will not stop. We will rescue those in peril, and we will find those who are missing. But I'd also ask, please pray for our community. This is a hard day, and there will be hard days to come. Pray for us. We covet your prayers. Thank you.
The task of the Texas Department of Public Safety is to serve and to protect our state, as well as to keep people safe. I want the Director, Colonel Freeman Martin from the Texas Department of Public Safety to explain to you all the details about the links that DPS has gone through over just less than the past 24 hours, which has been very helpful in what you guys helped accomplish.
Well, this was a catastrophic event. It was a mass casualty event. And we don't want to get up here and brag about, the successes when there's life lost and kids that are still missing. But I can tell you every asset, every resources that the Department of Public Safety has is being used here today. We have long-lasting relationships with the Sheriff, Larry Letha, that go back 30 years, working with the mayor. And we brought in over 100 troopers this morning, and they worked all day, rescues, high-water vehicles, boats, rescue drivers, divers, 7 rescue helicopters with hoist capabilities. And that was just today. We have another shift coming in tonight and another shift in the morning. We'll really ramp it up in the morning, but we will not stop. In addition to the search and rescue, that's the priority right now. Moving forward, tomorrow we're going to bring in communications operators, victim services people to help our partners here in Kerr County and HHSC. We have Parks and Wildlife here. They're providing just many boat teams, and they have 2 rescue helicopters. Today we had the Texas Military Department, the Texas Department of Public Safety, Parks and Wildlife, Task Force 1, everybody working in support of our local partners. That's what right looks like. There are no egos here. There's nobody in charge. We're all working together. We're all communicating, and we will not stop until we find every last person. So we'll be here for days to come. This won't end. Tomorrow is going to be a very important day. We had a hard time getting in this morning with the weather the way it was. So as the day went on, it picked up, and we were able to rescue more and recover more. That will continue tomorrow, and we have more resources en route. So with that, I'll turn it over to General Seltzer.
Good afternoon. As the governor has already said, he has ordered me to provide every capability that the Texas National Guard has to these local officials in this community. Today, we activated 5 helicopters with hoist to do rescue operations. They were paired with rescue swimmers from Texas Task Force 1. These crews trained together year-round just for this situation, and they were ready to respond. Additionally, we have 3 additional helicopters on the way to support the community. We are also using high-profile tactical military vehicles to move evacuees out of high-water areas to shelter locations. As of a few hours ago, we had rescued or evacuated 237 people, and 167 of those were by helicopter. So we're having a very good helicopter response when the weather allows. Additionally, in our operations tomorrow, we'll be sending personnel to help with evacuee shelter management and also the Texas Emergency Tracking Network. It's a banding system so that we can band evacuees to help get accountability of who's being evacuated into the shelters. Thank you.
Thank you, General, and thank you to the men and women of the Texas National Guard. And now, Nim Kidd, the Chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. Our prayers are rooted in action. We've had folks on the ground since yesterday afternoon here, and our State Emergency Operations Center was opened at 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The original forecast that we received on Wednesday from the National Weather Service predicted 3 to 6 inches of rain in the Concho Valley and 4 to 8 inches of rain in the Hill Country. We worked with our own meteorologists to fine-tune that weather statement, and as many of you know, and many of you in broadcast journalism and meteorology, you can go back and look at your own forecast, and the amount of rain that fell in this specific location was never in any of those forecasts. Nonetheless, in partnership with our local officials here, we had resources that have been surrounding this area since yesterday. When the rain fell and the calls came in, we immediately jumped into action alongside of our local partners. In addition to the local partners that are here, we have 150 personnel, search and rescue experts from Texas A&M Task Force 1. We have over 1,000 state officials and state partners that are responding here with over 804 assets, vehicles, boats, and helicopters. I want to run through that list really quickly. 150 from Texas Task Force 1, that is 30 boats and additional high-profile vehicles. You heard from Colonel Martin in the Texas Department of Public Safety. Colonel Vanderroos down on the end has over 170 personnel here, 167 four-wheel drive vehicles, and over 53 boats in addition to their aircraft. You heard from General Seltzer about the military departments. The A&M Forest Service is here to help us do tree removal and get trees out of the way and help with incident management. The Department of State Health Services has 164 members from the Emergency Medical Task Force here with over 71 pieces of equipment. You may see ambulances in this county that aren't anywhere from near here. They're part of the Emergency Medical Task Force. There will be questions about reunification centers. There'll be questions about noticing. Our local partners will answer those questions when you have them. And, Governor, at this point, that ends my prepared remarks.
Thank you very much. So this is a 24/7 effort. Everyone needs to know, day or night, whatever hour of the day, there will be local officials, state officials collaborating together. Also want to thank the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who gave me a phone call today to offer any assistance that we need. Secretary Doug Burgum, Secretary of the U.S. Department of the Interior, who called and offered any resources we need. Senator Cruz called and offered any support that they could provide. So this is something where the federal government is leaning in and wants to assist the community here in the heart of Texas to accelerate the process, to be able to draw this to a very positive conclusion. And it's something that Texas will continue to lean into. We'll take a few questions.
Any estimate on how many people are missing or unaccounted for?
No, at this time, sir, no, we don't. We don't have an estimate. The problem was it was a holiday weekend here. We have a lot of campers here, and we do not know that number at this time.
What about the 23 missing from Camp Missing? Has that number changed?
No, it's still we're up. It's between 23 and 25. We have not confirmed that yet. We're still working on that, sir.
So the federal partners were helping with that, but we didn't receive any National Weather Service forecast until well into the storm. Can you give us any insight into why there wasn't any updates from the National Weather Service about the flooding?
I'm going to give you a good example. Where's he at?
City Manager.
Dalton.
Yeah, I'm going to have the city manager can explain to you, kind of in real life terms, exactly what happened, when it happened, and how it happened, and why it was so unpredictable.
Thank you, Governor. And as the Lieutenant Governor alluded to, I was out on the river trail this morning, which is, again, at water level of the Guadalupe. I was out there about 3:30 this morning doing a jog. I left there probably about 4 o'clock. There was very light rain, no signs of the river. I come from the Houston area, so very used to hurricanes, very used to flooding. We kind of monitored that, checked some different areas. We did not see any signs of the river rising at that time. I started getting phone calls probably about 5 o'clock. We went, the Fire Chief Maloney and I went back out to Louise Hayes Park. Up on the top section, we did have National EMR, and we already had a lot of our emergency plan ready for the 4th of July event, which is at the river level. By the time we got to the National EMR truck, we could not get it out, and we almost got stuck on the top level. So there's a pavilion down in Louise Hayes Park. Within an hour and a half, it had already risen well over 20, 25 feet. So we were monitoring that as much as we possibly could.
After the 1987 flood, there were some flood alarms installed along the river. Are those still working? Any reason why they wouldn't?
A lot of the times, I think, and again, I'm relatively new here, there's alarms typically in Comfort or further downstream. When you look at the headwaters of the Guadalupe, which we are at the headwaters of the Guadalupe, there's a north and a south fork. And so we'll say since 1987, under normal conditions, if you call it that, you'll hit water in one of those areas. And those two forks will converge into the Guadalupe, which comes through the city of Kerrville. This rain event sat on top of that and dumped more rain than what was forecasted on both of those forks. When we got the report, it was about 7 feet or so on the South Fork, and within a matter of minutes, it was up to 29 feet, and all of that converged at the Guadalupe, and that's where we saw those very quick rise in flood. So there's not alarms everywhere on the river. No, sir.
Sheriff, you said there were 23 deaths and 24?
No, 24. Right.
24, and if that's the entire river, or that's just this county?
That's just this county, in the county.
Do we know the total? That's what we said, there needed to be one more?
We do have a report from one fatality in Kendall County.
I want to ask, what is the process if an evacuation, now, this seems like it came on very fast. I spoke with some flood victims in Ingram who said their home was flooding as rescues were happening down the river. They asked me, why weren't there evacuation notices at that point? What is the process like to get an evacuation notice? What's the threshold to send out an alert to people to get out of their homes?
So just like anything with evacuations is very difficult, right? There's a balance between, do you evacuate and then put chaos onto the road and potentially risk people getting stuck on a road? This is the hill country. For those that haven't been here, there are hills. There's a lot of low water crossings. And if you spark an evacuation at the wrong time or create an evacuation, you could go into a mass panic, get people on the road, which could be even more deadly by having vehicles swept away. So there's a very fine balance between sheltering in place, getting to the high grounds. A lot of our operations plans, especially with these camps, that is the plan, is sometimes shelter in place, get them to those known high grounds, and then wait for rescue. Again, when this came in, people are sleeping. Even if you were able to try to get notification, that evacuation period is a very delicate balance.
Can you guys confirm if game wardens did go into Camp Mystic and pull kids and staff out of there?
Come on in.
Okay.
Yes, so starting early this morning, we had about 107 game wardens along with our aviation group trying to make access into the camp. Shortly after midday, we breached over into the camp and were able to start removing children from the camp from there.
Is Camp Mystic the only camp that's under this sort of duress? I've got reports of other camps that seem to be evacuated okay, or is that the only one that we're really working on right now?
Yes. That's the only one is Camp Mystic. All the other camps, we've accounted for everybody and everything's fine. Camp Mystic's where we had all our trouble.
Also River Inn, which is just, west of that area.
Yeah, I mean, I have no reports of any problems there at River Inn. It's just Camp Mystic at this time.
What are the hardest hit areas from what you can tell as far as where the fatalities or the currently known missing person reports are coming from? And how far is your search area extending right now from where upstream to where downstream?
We're working anywhere from about 30 miles west of Kerrville on the Guadalupe River at this time. But that out west, on our east side, we didn't have any problems. Everything is pretty much west of Kerrville. All our issues are from this flooding.
And as far as where the hardest hit areas were along the Guadalupe?
Well, yes, we're about 30 miles from.
I just meant to were there particular properties or campgrounds where you're seeing the most damage or the most loss of life or missing people?
Anything close to the rivers where we're seeing property damage and missing people.
To add on to that, when you look at the 100-year flood map, we're trying to get as much comparison as we can. While we don't know if it's the exact 100-year floodplain map, it is darn close, and so that shows a lot of stuff when you look at that. So anything along the forks, anything along, camping, cabins, RV parks, even some things that were kind of on the higher end RV parks were, again, the massive amount of water that came in, we're just moving those vehicles out of those areas.
And there's been a lot of talk about how this was not foreseen. Lieutenant Governor, you had mentioned in your press conference earlier today that the regional director has contacted local officials to let them know about the possibility of flooding, but we're now hearing we didn't know what was going to happen. So what was the warning or conversation that happened?
Yeah, is Jay Hall?
Yeah, Governor, I'll take that. So the State Emergency Operations Center started having daily briefings yesterday on the potential for flood for all of this part of Texas, from here out to San Angelo and Abilene and further out. We have been in contact with local officials, and at some point in time in the future, we're happy to share those emails and contact information of what we had shared. But listen, everybody got the forecast from the National Weather Service, right? You all got it. You're all in media. You got that forecast. It did not predict the amount of rain that we saw.
And what was the severity that you were warning of at that time?
Well,
based on that?
using, yes, sir.
What were you warning might happen in terms of flood?
So using the National Weather Service data, which we were all looking at, they were warning 3 to 6 inches of rain. However, some of those models showed numbers that were higher than that, which caused us to activate additional resources and have them in the area just in case, and those were put immediately into use as soon as the rain fell and the 911 call started coming in. They were already here.
What kind of resources were they? Were they swift fast folks, or what was deployed prior to?
Yes, sir. Great question. It was Texas A&M Task Force 1 Swiftwater rescue teams, as well as military high-profile vehicles, and the aircrafts were close in theater, but not directly in theater. Those Swiftwater boat teams are professionals from San Antonio and Austin and the surrounding area that, as the general said, train for this kind of mission every day.
Forgive us my simple mind here, and the city manager said about 3 o'clock in the morning and it's still dry. At what point from that, what was the timeline when those resources were actually?
They got here at noon yesterday.
But they immediately.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, to the point where one of the response vehicles got washed away. That's how fast they got caught up in it. They were in the middle of it. They were ready to go. Not to that group, no, sir.
As much as you can talk about the nature of the camps, are you getting updates from people because it's they're from all over. Some of the kids we've had missing are from Austin and San Antonio and Beaumont. What was your phone going like for you when you were out of the area? I know that.
Is blown up. The fact of the matter is, calls were coming in first, from my team in the governor's office, Chief Kidd, the other leaders, where we collaborate on this all the time. But over the course of the early morning hours, stories started coming in from people that we know well. This is an area that we've been coming to for close to 20 years, and we know the camp and the camps down here quite well, and we have a lot of friends involved in this. And so there were a lot of my fellow Texans who have great concern about everything that's happened here, and that spurred us into action to make sure that we were going to turn over every stone to make sure every Texan, there may be people here not from Texas, everybody here is going to be accounted for as quickly as possible.
As much as you can talk about it, can you talk about the timeline, what locals can expect, and again, where they can get the resources if they're concerned about missing people? Is there a website specifically that they can go to for resources, and what we should expect as far as updates?
Hey, can you rephrase that question for me? I want to make sure I understand it.
Can you give any sense of the time, as best you can, a sense of the timeline of what the general public and press should be able to expect going forward, what your priorities are, and then specifically for the local community that's missing members, where they can go for resources?
Yes, sir. I'll speak in support of our local partners here. Our search and rescue teams are here and will continue to be here and stay around the clock. We are not leaving this community until the last person is found. That's number one. Additional volunteer resources will be managed by our local partners at the city for volunteer and donations, and they can give you those websites to put out in a little while, in a little bit. I think another part of your question was about timeline. Disaster.texas.gov is a live website right now. If your home or your business has been impacted, you can start reporting the damages there. But damage reporting is my second priority. Life safety and search and rescue is my first priority. We'll focus on this whenever we get done with the search and rescue piece. But the more that you can send people to this website now, if they're in a safe place to report their damages, will help us in the future.
Can you confirm whether all of the kids that have been accounted for have been reunited with their parents at this point?
No, I cannot confirm that at this time if they've all been back with their parents, no.
Is there concern about the possible equal weather or rain coming, how that affects our operations?
So the short answer to that is yes, we are still concerned about the weather. Any additional rain in this part right now can cause additional issues of flash flooding. And so this is where I really need all of your help. Tell the people that don't live here and don't have family here and don't have family that are
We have been
missing.
listening and watching an extraordinary news conference from Kerrville this evening. The first that we have seen and heard from Governor Abbott following this terrible breaking news situation. As you see there, the Guadalupe River just raging through that part of central Texas after extraordinary flash flooding occurred overnight. We did get an update from some of the officials there in case you're just now joining us. The number of fatalities is up now to 24. That's just in Kerr County. They're also working another fatality in nearby Kendall County down there. They're not sure if that one is related for sure. And sadly, we are learning now that throughout the day we've heard this estimate that young campers, little girls from Camp Mystic there along the Guadalupe River in Hunt, which is near Kerrville. All day we've been hearing about 23 of those girls have been missing since this event. Now we're hearing it is between 23 and 25 of those girls who were at that camp, and they are still listing them as missing in addition to these other 25 fatalities. So, Jesse, as we've gone through the day, the news has just become more and more grim coming from down there in central Texas. I think the Kerrville mayor put it correctly there. He said this is a hard day and there will be hard days to come for sure. We're hearing about what this response is going to look like. They've got a lot of boots on the ground there. They've got a lot of equipment there, but not a lot of good news to report as we head into the late hours of this evening now. At times, you notice the news conference got a little bit defensive in some places. There are a lot of questions about the timeline, about the preparations for this flood event, and about whether notifications happened the way that they should have. The emergency notifications that go out, let's say to your cell phone in the middle of the night. Because Jesse, that's what makes this particular situation so awful, is that it occurred in those hours when a lot of people were sleeping. And some of those officials there were saying, we have to do this balancing act. Like, do we get everybody out on the roads and get them to evacuate, or do we just let them shelter in place? But what terrible hours for something like this to have occurred.
It really is. And the tremendous amount of water that fell in that area, and something that you and I have talked about kind of off camera, and we've shown packages on this on our newscast about this particular area of Texas is extremely flood prone. In fact, this is one of the most flood prone areas, not only in the state of Texas, but in the country.
It's renowned.
Yes, it is. It is. You have this escarpment, you have these big cliffs, these big hills, these big runoffs. And this area has also been under significant drought for quite some time. And what that does is it hardens the ground. So when the rain does fall, and in Texas it can fall really fast, really hard, we're talking 2 to 4 inches per hour. Okay.
And then it just all flows to the river because it's running off.
It's not sinking into the ground. It's sliding down these hills, these elevations, straight into the river.
Well, a lot was made too, Jesse, about what the forecast said. Was it 3 to 6 inches? Was it 4 to 8 inches? When you start getting into terrain like that, and a lot of rain is falling very intensely in that hilly area, that water collects really fast.
It does. In fact, just a couple of inches of rain in a short amount of time from a thunderstorm can cause flash flooding. And they had several hours of thunderstorm activity with rainfall rates of 2+ inches per hour. So as we take a look here at satellite and radar, you can see some of the rain coming to an end now across that area there in Kerr County. And then we're also watching where some of the flood waters are moving. So this is the Guadalupe River. This is east of Kerr. And as you take a look here, Canyon Lake, that's where the river will flow into, Canyon Lake. And I looked here, Canyon Lake is 31 feet below flood level. It should be able to handle the water that's coming its way, which means those that live downstream along the Guadalupe from Canyon Lake should not expect significant problems from flooding there. But if you go back to Kerrville, Kerr County, and then there's Ingram, and then we look here, there's Camp Mystic, and there's Hunt. This area now getting a bit of a break from the rain, but 9 to 12 inches of rain fell in a really short amount of time, and that is a dramatic number, especially in the hill country of Texas. So we heard how the river in this area along the Guadalupe around Hunt and Kerrville rose from practically nothing and rose almost 24 feet within about an hour. The Guadalupe is receding in this area, Jason, but we are watching downstream again near Canyon Lake, but there's more rain expected tomorrow.
And we know that these rescue operations will continue through the night. We have broken into your programming to bring you this important breaking news update from Central Texas. Of course, we're going to be back with you here in about 7 minutes. We're going to reset for the 10 o'clock news here. Let's send you back to regular programming right now, but stay tuned. We'll be right back with a lot more coverage on this extraordinary and terrible breaking news out of Central Texas.